The stars looked different from Valdra's prime. Deho had seen hundreds of alien skies during his years as a xenobiologist, but this one felt wrong. Maybe it was because his ship lay scattered across 3 kilometers of crystal forest, burning and broken beyond any hope of repair. Maybe it was because he was alone on an unexplored planet with no way to call for help. Deho pulled himself from the emergency pod and checked his supplies. 1 survival pack, 1 medical kit, 1 handheld scanner, 1 plasma pistol with 2 charge packs. His communication device was damaged, showing only static and broken signals. He had maybe 3 days of food rations and a water purifier that might last a week, if he was lucky. The Meridian Hope had been a good ship. Now it was just expensive debris. He was 34 years old. He had a job he loved, studying alien life across the galaxy. He had an apartment on Earth that he barely visited. He had a sister who would worry when he missed their monthly call. And now he had a survival situation that his training had prepared him for but never really expected. The planet itself was beautiful in a strange way. Trees made of crystal grew from the ground, refracting light into rainbow patterns. Mountains floated in the distance, held up by some force he could not explain. The air was breathable. The temperature was cool, but not cold. Small creatures moved through the undergrowth. Watching him with curious eyes, Deho activated his scanner and began walking. First priority was water. Second priority was shelter. Third priority was fixing his communication device, so someone might eventually find his body. He tried not to think about that. Last part, the scanner led him toward a canyon 2 hours' walk from the crash site. His legs ached. His shoulder hurt from the pod impact. But he kept moving because stopping meant thinking about how bad things really were. The canyon was deeper than he expected. Water flowed somewhere below. He could hear it. Following the sound, he found a waterfall, cascading down crystal cliffs. The water looked clean. His scanner confirmed it was safe to drink. Then he noticed something odd. The waterfall was too perfect, too symmetrical. Water fell in an exact sheet, not tumbling naturally. Behind the falling water, he could see darkness. A cave or tunnel. Curiosity was a dangerous thing for a scientist. Deho knew this. He also knew that caves meant shelter, and shelter meant survival. He found a path along the cliff face and carefully made his way behind the waterfall. The cavern entrance was huge, 3 meters tall and perfectly smooth. This was not natural. Someone had built this. Deho pulled out his plasma pistol and turned on his scanner's light function. The beam cut through darkness, revealing a tunnel that sloped downward. Strange symbols covered the walls. They glowed faintly with their own light, providing just enough illumination to see. He should have turned back. Every survival instinct screamed at him to return to the surface and find normal shelter. But the scientist in him won the argument. These symbols meant intelligent life had been here. Maybe they left supplies. Maybe they left technology. Maybe they left something that could help him survive. The tunnel opened into a massive chamber. Deho stopped breathing for a moment. In the center of the chamber, sitting on a platform of fused metal and stone, was an egg. But this was not like any egg he had ever seen or studied. It was huge, maybe 2 meters tall and 1 meter wide. The shell was smooth and white, but light pulsed inside it. Blue and white light, like a heartbeat made visible. The glow filled the entire chamber with soft radiance. His scanner went wild. The readings made no sense. Life signs inside the egg were strong. Neural activity was off the charts. The temperature in the chamber was exactly controlled, kept warm by technology built into the walls. This egg had been placed here deliberately. This egg was being protected. Deho walked closer, almost in a trance. The symbols on the chamber walls were everywhere, covering every surface. They were the same as in the tunnel, but more complex. More detailed. He recognized patterns that looked like star charts. Others looked like warnings. His hand reached out, almost touching the shell. The light pulsed faster, as if responding to his presence. Then his scanner picked up something else. Energy signatures. Recent ones. Within the last few days, something had happened in this chamber. He turned his light to the floor and saw what he had missed before. Scorch marks. Deep cuts in the stone. Shattered pieces of weapons made from metals he did not recognize. And stains, dark stains that his scanner identified as blood. Not human blood. Not from any species in his database. There had been a battle here recently. Daeho's heart raced. He examined the evidence more carefully. At least 6 different individuals had fought in this chamber. The blast patterns suggested high-powered energy weapons. The defensive positions showed that some had tried to protect the egg while others had tried to destroy it. The protectors had lost. Their bodies were gone, but their weapons remained. Their blood remained, but the egg had survived. Something had driven away, or killed, whoever won the battle. Or maybe they had left, thinking the egg was dead. But it was not dead. It pulsed with life. It waited. Daeho sat down on the cold stone floor and thought, he should leave. He should find shelter elsewhere and focus on survival. This egg was not his problem. This chamber was not his concern. He had enough trouble just staying alive without adding ancient alien mysteries to the list, but he could not stop looking at the egg. The light pulsed in steady rhythm. Something lived inside. Something that people had died trying to protect. Something that other people had died trying to destroy. His scanner showed the egg was in a critical growth phase. Within weeks, maybe days, whatever was inside would hatch. Or die trying. If he left, would it survive alone? The chamber's temperature controls were failing in places. His scanner detected microfractures in the platform. The egg's protectors were dead. If enemies returned, nothing would stop them. Daeho made a decision that would change his life forever. He decided to stay. He was not a soldier. He was not a fighter. He was a scientist who studied small alien creatures and wrote reports nobody read. But he was also human, and humans had a stubborn habit of protecting things that seemed worth protecting. Maybe it was stupid. Maybe it would get him killed. But leaving felt wrong in a way he could not explain. Over the next several hours, Daeho worked. He brought his supplies from the crash site, making multiple trips. He studied the chamber's layout and found defensive positions. Using parts from his emergency pod, he built simple warning sensors at the tunnel entrance. He piled loose rocks to create barriers. He set up a small camp in the corner of the chamber where he could watch the egg in the entrance. It was not much. 1 human with 1 pistol and improvised defenses. But it was something. As night fell on Valiantly Prime, Daeho sat beside the egg and ate one of his rations. The pulsing light was almost comforting in the darkness. He pulled out his damaged recorder and began documenting everything. The symbols. The egg. The evidence of battle. If he died here, at least someone might eventually understand what happened. He spoke to the egg, feeling foolish but doing it anyway. I don't know what you are. I don't know if you can hear me. But you're not alone anymore. I'll watch over you as long as I can. The light pulsed faster, brighter, as if in response. Daeho smiled despite himself. Yeah, we'll figure this out together. He did not know that he had just made a promise that would echo across the galaxy. He did not know that his choice to stay would wake ancient powers and forge bonds between species. He did not know that he was about to become the first human to earn the loyalty of dragons. He only knew that leaving felt wrong, and staying felt right. Sometimes that was enough. 2 weeks passed on Valiantly Prime. Daeho had learned to survive. Every morning he woke before the twin suns rose. He checked his warning sensors first, making sure nothing had approached during the night. Then he checked the egg. The pulsing light was stronger now, faster. Whatever lived inside was growing. His food rations had run out after 5 days. Now he hunted. The crystal forests held small creatures that looked like rabbits but had 6 legs and blue fur. They tasted strange but were safe to eat. He had tested everything carefully with his scanner before trying it. Being stranded was bad enough. Being stranded and poisoned would be worse. Water came from the streams that fed the waterfall. His purifier worked perfectly. He had rigged a collection system using pieces from his emergency pod, so he did not need to leave the cavern as often. The hardest part was the loneliness. Deho talked to the egg more than he wanted to admit. He told it about Earth, about the oceans and mountains, about his sister Salman, who worked as a teacher, about his favorite foods and the music he missed. The egg always responded with faster pulses when he spoke. He chose to believe it was listening. At night, he worked on the symbols covering the chamber walls. His damaged ship computer still had linguistic databases. Slowly, painfully, he began to understand pieces of the ancient writing. The symbols were not from one language, but many. Different civilizations had added to them over thousands of years. One phrase appeared over and over, written in 5 different scripts. He finally translated it on the 14th day. Last daughter of the sky flame. Deho stared at those words for a long time. Daughter meant the egg contained a female. Sky flame sounded important, maybe a species name. But last was the word that bothered him most. If this was the last, then all the others were gone. He looked at the egg with new understanding. You're alone too, he said quietly. The last of your kind, waiting to be born into a galaxy that doesn't have anyone like you. The egg pulsed bright blue, almost like it understood. That night, Deho could not sleep. He lay in his makeshift camp, staring at the chamber ceiling. Stars were visible through a crack high above. He wondered if anyone was looking for him. Probably, the Meridian Hope had missed its scheduled check-in. Search and rescue would be sent eventually. But Valdris Prime was at the edge of explored space. It might take months. Would he still be alive in months? Would the egg? His warning sensor beeped. Deho sat up instantly, grabbing his plasma pistol. The sensor showed movement at the canyon entrance. Something big. Multiple signatures. His heart pounded. After 2 weeks of nothing, someone had finally come. He wanted to feel relieved. Instead, he felt afraid. He moved to a defensive position behind the rocks he had piled near the tunnel entrance. His pistol was charged. His hands were steady. He waited. Minutes passed. Then he heard it. Footsteps. Heavy ones. More than one person? They were not trying to be quiet. A voice echoed down the tunnel. It spoke in a language his translator could understand. The sensor was right. Something alive is in here. About time, another voice said. I'm tired of searching empty caves. Stay alert. The readings show the abomination still lives. Deho's blood went cold. They were here for the egg, and they called it an abomination. 6 figures entered the chamber. They were not human. They stood on 2 legs like humans, but their skin was covered in dark green scales. Their faces were reptilian, with sharp teeth and yellow eyes. They wore armor and carried weapons that glowed with energy. These were soldiers. Professional ones. The leader was bigger than the others, with scars across his face and a missing eye. He carried a device that beeped steadily, pointing toward the egg. When he saw it, he smiled. It was not a friendly smile. There it is, he said. The last dragon egg. Our employer will pay well for proof of its destruction. Dragon. The word hit Deho like a physical blow. The egg contained a dragon. Dragons were real. And these soldiers wanted to kill it before it could hatch. He did not think. He just acted. Deho stood up from behind his cover and spoke loudly. Stop right there. All 6 soldiers turned toward him. For a moment, everyone was silent. Then the leader laughed. A human. Out here? The leader's one eye studied Deho with amusement. You're a long way from your colonies, little man. This doesn't concern you. Leave now and live. I can't do that, Deho said. His voice was steadier than he felt. Why not? The leader asked, genuinely curious. Because something tried to kill this egg before? I'm guessing that was you or your friends? It survived. That means it deserves a chance to live. The leader's amusement faded. You have no idea what that thing is. Dragons nearly destroyed the galaxy once. They're too powerful. Too dangerous. They can't be allowed to return. So you kill them in their eggs, Deho said, before they can even choose what they want to be. That's not justice. That's murder. Call it what you want, the leader said. He raised his weapon. Last chance, human. Walk away. Deho aimed his pistol at the leader. No, the leader's expression turned cold. Then die with it. What happened next was chaos. Deho fired first, hitting one soldier in the chest. The alien's armor absorbed most of the blast, but the impact knocked him down. Then the others returned fire. Energy bolts lit up the chamber. Deho dove behind his rock barrier as shots exploded around him. He had planned for this. 2 weeks of preparation. He pressed a trigger on his remote, and the charges he had planted in the tunnel ceiling exploded. Rocks fell, blocking half the entrance and crushing one soldier. Now they could only come at him from one direction. The soldiers were surprised but professional. They spread out, using cover, working as a team. Deho was outnumbered and outgunned, but he knew the chamber layout better than they did. He used the crystal formations for cover, firing when he had clear shots. He hit another soldier in the leg, dropping him. But return fire was getting closer. A bolt grazed his shoulder, burning through his jacket. Pain shot down his arm. The leader was advancing, his weapon never stopping. "You fight well for a scientist," he called out. "I checked your ship records, xenobiologist, not a soldier. Yet here you are defending something you don't even understand." "I understand enough," Deho shouted back. He fired again, but missed. His pistol showed one charge pack left. "Do you?" The leader was closer now. Dragons bond with other beings. They choose guardians. It's instinct. That egg has been calling to you since you arrived. You think you chose to stay? It chose you. And now you'll die for it. Deho's mind raced. Was that true? Had the egg somehow influenced him? He looked at it, pulsing in the center of the chamber. The light seemed brighter now, faster. Almost frantic, it did not matter. Even if the egg had called to him, he had still made the choice to answer. That was enough. He fired his last shots, hitting one more soldier. 3 down, 3 to go. But his pistol was empty now. He drew his knife. It was a small blade meant for cutting rope and opening ration packs. Against armored soldiers, it was useless. The leader stepped into the open, his weapon aimed at Deho's chest. Brave and stupid. You humans are always like this. Fighting battles you cannot win. Maybe, Deho said, but we show up anyway. The leader paused. For just a moment, something like respect crossed his face. "I'll make it quick," he said. Then pain exploded in Deho's side. Another soldier had flanked him, shooting from an angle he had not covered. He fell to his knees, clutching the wound. Blood ran between his fingers. The world spun. Through blurring vision, he saw the leader approach the egg. The alien raised his weapon, setting it to maximum power. Nothing personal, human. You chose the wrong cause. Deho tried to stand but could not. His body would not obey. He had failed. After 2 weeks of protection, after everything, he had failed. "I'm sorry," he whispered to the egg. "I tried." The egg's light suddenly blazed brilliant white, so bright it hurt to look at. The entire chamber shook. Cracks spread across the shell's surface, glowing from within. The leader stepped back. "No, it's too early. It shouldn't be hatching yet." But it was. The egg was hatching. And Deho, bleeding and broken on the cold stone floor, could only watch as the shell began to break apart. The shell cracked with a sound like thunder. Light poured from every fracture, filling the chamber with radiance that made the soldiers shield their eyes. The leader fired his weapon at the egg, but the energy bolts dissolved before reaching it. Some kind of shield protected it now. Deho lay on the stone, his hand pressed against the wound in his side. Blood pooled beneath him. His vision faded in and out. He could not tell if what he was seeing was real or a dream born from blood loss. The egg split apart completely. Pieces of shell fell away, revealing what was inside. A dragon, it stood 3 meters tall, even though it was newly born. Its body was covered in scales that shifted colors between blue and silver, reflecting the light like water. For wings unfolded from its back, membranous and crackling with energy. Its eyes opened, glowing with fierce intelligence. Ancient intelligence. This was no mindless animal. This was something more. The dragon looked around the chamber, taking in the scene. The destroyed walls, the soldiers with their weapons, the symbols carved everywhere. And finally, its gaze settled on Deho. Their eyes met. Something passed between them in that moment. Understanding, recognition. The dragon saw the defensive positions Deho had built. It saw the spent weapon at his side. It saw the blood. It saw everything. Then the dragon looked at the soldiers. The leader recovered first. "Kill it," he shouted. "Kill it now, before it fully awakens." The 3 remaining soldiers opened fire. Energy bolts struck the dragon from all sides. The creature roared, a sound that shook the chamber and made rocks fall from the ceiling. But the attacks hurt it. Smoke rose from burns on its scales. The dragon was powerful, but newborn. It did not yet know how to fight. Deho tried to move, tried to help somehow, but his body would not respond. He was dying. He knew it. The wound was too deep. He had maybe minutes left. The dragon stumbled under the assault. One wing was damaged. It fell to its knees. The soldiers advanced, their weapons charging for killing shots. Through his fading consciousness, Deho did something he had never done before. He prayed, not to any god. He prayed to the universe itself. He prayed that this creature would survive, that all his effort would mean something, that the last daughter of the sky flame would live to see the stars. The dragon's head turned toward him again. Its glowing eyes widened, as if hearing his thoughts. Then something changed. The dragon's body began to glow from within. The same blue-white light from the egg, but stronger, brighter. The temperature in the chamber skyrocketed. The soldiers backed away as heat washed over them. When the dragon opened its mouth, blue-white fire poured out. But this was not normal fire. This was plasma. Superheated matter that burned hotter than stars. The stream struck the nearest soldier dead center. His armor melted like wax. He had time for one scream before he was gone. The other 2 soldiers ran. They dropped their weapons and fled toward the tunnel. The dragon spread its wings and leaped. Despite its injuries, it moved with incredible speed. One soldier made it 3 steps before the dragon landed on him. The other made it to the tunnel entrance before plasma fire caught him. Only the leader remained. He stood his ground, weapon raised. "You're an abomination," he snarled at the dragon. "Your kind should have stayed extinct." The dragon spoke. Its voice was clear and strong, speaking directly into their minds through telepathy. "You murdered my guardians. You tried to murder me before I could even see life. You are the abomination." The leader fired his weapon one last time. The dragon's wings swept out, generating a force that crushed the bolt in midair. Then the same force lifted the leader off his feet and slammed him into the wall. He slumped down, unconscious or dead. The dragon did not seem to care which silence fell over the chamber. The battle was over. The soldiers were gone. The dragon turned its attention back to Deho. He was still conscious, barely. The pain had faded to numbness, which was not a good sign. He tried to smile at the dragon. He had done it. He had kept it safe long enough to hatch. That was enough. The dragon approached slowly, each step careful. It lowered its massive head until it was level with Deho's face. This close, he could see the complex patterns in its scales, could feel the heat radiating from its body, could see intelligence and emotion in those glowing eyes. "You protected me," the dragon's voice echoed in his mind. "You knew nothing about me. You had no reason to stay. Yet you guarded my egg. You fought. You bled. Why?" Deho coughed. Blood flecked his lips. "Because it was right," he managed to whisper. "Because you deserved a chance to live." The dragon's eyes seemed to shimmer. "What is your name, guardian?" "Deho. My name is Deho. I am Hanyul," the dragon said. "Last daughter of the sky flame, and you, Deho, are dying." Deho admitted. "Seems that way," No Hanyul said firmly. "I will not allow this. You saved me. Now I will save you." Before Deho could respond, Hanyul's body began to glow again. But this time, the light was gentler, warmer. The dragon curled around him, wrapping him in wings and tail. Heat flowed into Deho's body, but it did not burn. It healed. He felt the wound in his side close, felt broken tissue repair itself, felt strength return to his limbs. The pain faded, replaced by a tingling sensation like electricity running through his veins. Minutes passed. When Hanyul finally pulled away, Deho sat up easily. He touched his side where the wound had been. The skin was perfect. Not even a scar remained. He asked in amazement. "My kind has always had this ability," Hanyul explained. "We can share our life force with those we choose. We can heal wounds that would kill others. It is part of what made us guardians in the ancient times." Deho stood, testing his body. He felt better than he had in weeks. Better than he had in years, actually. "Thank you. You saved my life." "You saved mine first," Hanyul replied. "That is how bonds are formed. Action and response. Sacrifice and loyalty. You chose to protect me when you had nothing to gain. That is rare, Deho. Rarer than you know." Deho looked around the chamber at the destroyed soldiers. "Your guardians. The ones who died before I arrived. Who were they?" Hanyul's eyes dimmed slightly. "I do not know. My egg was moved many times over the centuries, protected by different beings, each generation passing the duty to the next. But my genetic memory tells me this. Long ago, my kind flew between the stars. We protected young civilizations. We fought against darkness. Then came a great war. We lost. Our eggs were hidden across the galaxy, waiting for a time when we would be needed again. And now you're the last," Deho said quietly. "Perhaps," Hanyul said. "Or perhaps there are other eggs still hidden, still waiting. But yes, I may be the last to hatch, the last to wake." They stood together in silence, human and dragon, both survivors of a battle that should have killed them. Finally, Deho spoke. "What happens now?" Hanyul looked at him with those ancient, knowing eyes. "Now, we honor the old ways. You protected my egg. You gave everything to keep me safe. By the laws of my kind, you are my guardian. Where you go, I follow. Your enemies are mine. Your cause is mine. This is the bond. Do you accept it?" Deho thought about his crashed ship, his damaged communicator, his life before this planet. Then he looked at Hanyul, magnificent and powerful and alone in the universe. "I accept," he said. "Then we are bound," Hanyul said. The dragon's body glowed briefly, and Deho felt something change inside him. A connection formed, like a string tied between their hearts. He could feel Hanyul's emotions, her determination, her gratitude, her fierce protective instinct that now included him. "I can feel you," Deho whispered in wonder. "And I you," Hanyul replied. "This is the bond. We are stronger together than apart." Deho smiled, then laughed. After 2 weeks of loneliness and fear, after a battle that nearly killed him, he was not alone anymore. He had found something impossible. He had found a friend. 3 days passed after the battle. Deho and Hanyul spent the time learning about each other. Hanyul could change her size. It was an ability all dragons possessed, she explained. She could be as small as a cat or as large as a building. For now, she stayed at a more comfortable size, about as big as a horse. It made moving around the chamber easier. She was curious about everything. She asked Deho hundreds of questions about humans, about Earth, about the galaxy as it was now. Her genetic memory gave her knowledge of the ancient past, but the present was new to her. "Your species is young," she observed one evening, as they sat together near the chamber entrance, watching the twin suns set. "Only a few thousand years of recorded history. My kind existed for millions of years before we fell."
Oh.
"Does that bother you?" Deho asked. "Being bonded to someone from such a young species?" Hanyul tilted her head, considering. "No, age does not determine worth. You proved that when you stayed. Many older, wiser beings would have run. You stayed." Deho had also been working on his communicator. With Hanyul's help, he had salvaged parts from the dead soldier's equipment. Her plasma breath, when carefully controlled, could weld metal with precision. Her strength made moving heavy debris easy. On the fourth day, the communicator crackled to life. Daeho's hands shook as he adjusted the frequency. "This is Daeho Kim of the survey vessel Meridian Hope. Is anyone receiving this signal?" Static answered him. He tried again, adjusting settings. Hours passed. He was about to give up when a voice came through. "This is the merchant ship Songbird. We're receiving your signal, Meridian Hope. What is your status?" Relief flooded through Daeho. "Songbird, my ship crashed on Valdris Prime 3 weeks ago. I'm alive but stranded. Can you assist?" "Valdris Prime. That's way off the standard routes. What were you doing there?" "Survey mission. Engine failure during jump. How soon can you reach me?" There was a pause. Voices conferred in the background. Then the voice returned. "We can divert to your location. ETA is about 6 hours. Transmit your coordinates." Daeho sent the coordinates, then sat back. 6 hours. He would be rescued. He looked at Hanyul. "We'll need to be careful how we introduce you," he said. "Humans have never seen a living dragon before. They might be afraid, or they might try to capture me," Hanyul said. "Study me. Use me. I won't let that happen." "I know," Hanyul said simply. "That is why we are bonded. I trust you, Daeho." The Songbird arrived exactly 6 hours later. It was a small merchant vessel, designed for cargo runs between colonies. The captain was a woman named Jiwon Park. She was in her 40s, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. She brought 3 crew members down to the surface in a shuttle. When they found Daeho waiting at the canyon edge, Giwon's expression was pure shock. "You look healthy for someone who's been stranded for 3 weeks, she said suspiciously. "I had help," Daeho replied. That was when Hanyul stepped out from behind the crystal trees. The crew members reached for their weapons. Jiwon held up a hand, stopping them. She stared at Hanyul for a long moment. "She's a dragon," she said flatly. "Yes," Daeho confirmed. "Dragons are extinct. Have been for thousands of years. Not anymore." Guan approached slowly, her eyes never leaving Hanyul. The dragon watched her calmly, making no threatening moves. When Jiwon was close enough, she reached out one hand, stopping just short of touching Hanyul's scales. "May I?" she asked. "Huh," Neil nodded. Guan's hand touched the scales and she gasped. "They're warm. And they're humming with energy." "This is Hanyul," Daeho said. "She saved my life, and I'm not leaving this planet without her." One of the crew members, a young man named Minho, spoke up. "Captain, we can't just take a dragon onto the ship. We don't know if it's dangerous," Daeho corrected firmly. "Not at she, and she's only dangerous to people who try to hurt us." Jiwon studied them both. "There's a story here, a big one. You're going to tell me everything on the way back to New Busan colony?" "New Busan?" Daeho asked. "Closest human settlement. 3 days travel from here. They'll want to hear about this." Jiwon looked at Hanyul again. "Can you make yourself smaller?" "The cargo bay isn't huge." Anil shimmered and shrank until she was the size of a large dog. The crew members jumped back in surprise. "That's convenient," Jiwon said. "All right. Let's get off this rock." The journey to New Busan was eventful. Daeho told Jiwon everything. The crash. Finding the egg. The soldiers who came to destroy it. The battle. The hatching. Jiwon listened without interrupting, her expression growing more serious with each detail. "The soldiers you killed," she said when he finished. "You said they were Krell, professional mercenaries. Someone hired them to destroy that egg." "Someone who's afraid of dragons returning," Daeho said. "With good reason, maybe," Jiwon said. "No offense to your friend, but dragons were incredibly powerful. Some species might see them as a threat." "She's not a threat," Daeho insisted. "Not to you." "But to others?" Jiwon shrugged. "Time will tell." Anil had been quiet during the conversation, but now she spoke. Her telepathic voice reached everyone on the bridge. Several crew members jumped in surprise. "Your captain is wise to be cautious," Hanyul said. "My kind did wield great power. Some used it poorly. Some became tyrants. That is why we created the bond system." Dragons alone can be dangerous, but dragons bonded to worthy guardians become protectors. The bond keeps us honest, keeps us connected to the people we serve. Yuan looked at Deho, and you're her guardian. Apparently, Deho said, do you know what you're getting into? The responsibility? A creature this powerful, bonded to one human, people will have opinions about that. Let them, Deho said. I made a choice on that planet. I'm not backing away from it now. Yuan smiled slightly. Stubborn. I like that. You'll need it. On the second day of travel, the ship's sensors picked up something alarming. A Krell ship was following them. Not attacking, just following. Staying just at the edge of scanner range. They know, Giwan said grimly. They know the dragons survived. Can we outrun them? Deho asked. To New Busan? Yes, but they'll report to whoever hired them. More will come. Hanyul moved to the viewport, staring out at the stars. They will hunt me. They will not stop until I am dead. Then we make sure you're somewhere they can't reach you, Kyuan said. New Busan has defensive systems. Colonial military. You'll be safe there. But when they arrived at New Busan, they found chaos waiting for them. The colony was under attack. 3 ships hung in orbit above the planet, firing on the surface defenses. They were not Krell vessels. They were bigger, more advanced. Military-grade warships from a species Deho did not recognize. What's happening? He demanded. G1 worked her controls frantically. I'm getting reports. New Busan isn't the only colony under attack. There are strikes happening across human space. Coordinated attacks on our outer settlements. By who? Multiple species. Working together. Jiwan's face was pale. Deho, this is an invasion. Hanyul's eyes blazed bright. It has begun. The darkness I told you about. The reason my kind hid our eggs. It is returning. Below them, the colony's defenses were failing. Explosions lit up the surface. Thousands of humans were down there. Families, children, people who had done nothing wrong except exist in the wrong place at the wrong time. Deho looked at Hanyul. Through their bond, he felt her rage. Her desire to protect, her ancient instinct to defend the innocent. Can you help them? He asked. Yes, Hanyul said. But if I reveal myself, every enemy in the system will know I exist. They will come for me with everything they have. They're already coming, Deho said. Might as well give them a reason to be afraid. Hanyul grew larger, filling the cargo bay. Her wings spread wide. Energy crackled across her scales. She looked at Deho with those fierce, ancient eyes. Then let us show them what it means to face a dragon, she said, and her guardian. Guan opened the cargo bay doors. The atmosphere rushed out, replaced by the vacuum of space. Hanyul stood at the edge, her scales glowing with inner fire. She had grown to her full size now, massive and terrible and beautiful. Deho stood beside her, wearing an emergency spacesuit from the ship's supplies. Through their bond, he could feel Hanyul's power building, could feel her preparing for battle. Stay safe, he told her. Together, Hanyul replied. Where you go, I follow. Remember? Before Deho could argue, Hanyul grabbed him gently in one clawed hand and leaped from the ship. They plunged toward the battle below. Space combat was nothing like the movies made it seem. There was no sound except what came through radio channels. No dramatic music, just ships and weapons and people dying in silence. Hanyul dove toward the nearest enemy warship. It was huge, easily 10 times the size of the Songbird. Its hull was dark metal covered in weapon ports. It was currently firing on New Busan's orbital defense station, tearing through shields with sustained plasma bombardment. The warship's sensors detected Hanyul. Gun turrets swiveled toward her. Energy bolts filled the space around them. Neil, twisted in midair, dodging with impossible grace for something so large. Bolts that should have hit them missed by centimeters. She was fast. Faster than any ship, she opened her mouth and returned fire. Blue-white plasma streamed from her jaws, hotter than the enemy's weapons. The beam struck the warship's hull and melted through armor like paper. The ship tried to maneuver away, but Hanyul followed. Her plasma cut through the vessel from bow to stern. Secondary explosions rippled along its length. The warship broke apart, pieces tumbling away into the black. Through the radio, Deho heard shocked voices from the colony's defense force. What was that? Did something just destroy the enemy cruiser? I'm reading a massive energy signature. It's biological. Is that a creature? Admiral Taeyong, Choi's voice cut through the chatter. He was commander of the colony's military forces. All units, identify the unknown contact. Is it hostile? Deho activated his suit's radio. Admiral Choi, this is Deho Kim, civilian. The unknown contact is friendly. She's here to help. Civilian Kim, explain what I'm looking at on my sensors. It's complicated, sir. But right now, she's saving your colony. I suggest you let her work. Hanyo was already moving toward the second enemy warship. This one was smaller, but faster. It launched missiles at her, dozens of them. The missiles streaked through space, their targeting systems locked on. Hanyul's wings spread wide. Energy crackled between them, forming a field. When the missiles hit the field, they detonated harmlessly. The explosions looked like fireworks against her shields. She flew straight through the explosions and landed on the warship's hull. Her claws tore through metal. Her tail smashed weapon turrets. She was like a force of nature, unstoppable and terrifying. Inside the ship, alarms must have been screaming. The crew must have been panicking. They were trained to fight other ships, not a dragon that could tear them apart with claws and teeth. The warship tried to jump away, activating its faster-than-light drive, but Hanyul's presence somehow disrupted the jump field. The ship shuddered but stayed in place. She had it trapped. Her plasma breath cut through the ship's engines. Without power, it was helpless, dead in space. Surrender, Hanyul's telepathic voice boomed across all radio frequencies. Every ship in the system heard her. Leave this place or share their fate. The third warship did not surrender. It opened fire on Hanyul with everything it had. Energy weapons, missiles, kinetic rounds. The combined firepower could have destroyed a city. Hanyul released her grip on the dead ship and faced the assault head-on. Her shields flared bright as weapons struck them. Some shots got through, scorching her scales. She roared in pain and fury. Deho felt her pain through their bond. It hurt him too, like sympathetic wounds across his own body. Hanyul, pull back. You're hurt. No, she replied. They are firing on the colony again. If I retreat, people die. The third warship was dividing its fire between Hanyul and the surface. Defensive shields over New Busan were failing. The next volley would hit civilian areas. Hanyul made a choice. She flew directly into the warship's firing path, putting herself between the weapons and the colony. Energy bolts meant for the surface hit her instead. Her shields collapsed. Bolts struck her body directly, burning deep wounds into her scales, but she did not move. She held position, protecting the people below. Deho's heart seized with fear. Hanyula, no. You'll die. Better me than thousands of them, she said calmly. Admiral Choi's voice came through the radio. All ships, focus fire on enemy warship 3. Now, that creature is buying us time. Don't waste it. Colony's remaining defense ships rallied. 6 human vessels, small and damaged, but determined. They attacked the enemy warship from all sides. Their weapons were weaker than the enemy's. But 6 against 1 made a difference. The enemy warship's attention divided. It could not focus all firepower on Hanyul anymore. She used the opening to strike back. Despite her wounds, despite the pain, attacked with devastating force. Her plasma breath found the warship's reactor. The explosion was massive, lighting up space like a small sun. When the light faded, only debris remained. Silence fell over the battlefield. 3 enemy warships destroyed. The colony saved. Hanyul floated in space, her wings barely moving. Blood drifted from her wounds, freezing instantly in vacuum. She was alive, but badly hurt. Get me close to her, Daeho told Ji-won over the radio. The songbird maneuvered carefully toward the dragon. When they were close enough, Hanyul reached out and grabbed the hull gently. Guan brought them all down to the surface together, landing near the colony's main spaceport. Crowds had gathered. Thousands of people stared as the dragon touched down on the landing pad. Medical teams rushed forward, then stopped, unsure how to treat a creature from legend. Neil shrunk herself down to a smaller size, conserving energy. She was breathing hard. Her scales, usually brilliant blue and silver, looked dull. Burns covered her body. Daeho removed his helmet and ran to her side. Through their bond, he pushed his own strength toward her. It was not much, but it was something. She had healed him before. Now he tried to return the favor. "You're an idiot," he told her, tears in his eyes. "A brave, stupid idiot." "I learned from the best," Hanyul replied weakly. Admiral Choi approached, flanked by security personnel. He was an older man with gray hair and hard eyes. He looked at Hanyul, then at Daeho. "Explained," he said simply. Daeho told the story again. The egg. The vigil. The bond. Everything. Around them, the crowd listened in absolute silence. When he finished, several minutes passed before anyone spoke. "A dragon," the Admiral said. "A real dragon. And you bonded with it." "With her?" Daeho corrected. "Her name is Hanyul." "She saved us," someone in the crowd called out. "She could have run, but she stayed and protected us," others agreed. Voices rose in support. These people had watched Hanyul take hits meant for them, had watched her put herself between danger and their families. Words meant nothing compared to actions like that. Admiral Choi raised a hand for silence. "I need to report this to Colonial Command. They'll want answers. But for now, your dragon is welcome here. She earned that much." Medical personnel moved in with scanners and supplies. They worked carefully, treating Hanyul's wounds as best they could. She bore their attention patiently, too tired to do much else. G1 found Daeho in the crowd. "That was the bravest and most insane thing I've ever seen. Both of you." "The attacks on other colonies," Daeho said. "Are they still happening?" G1's expression darkened. "Yes. Reports are coming in from across human space. Coordinated strikes on our outer settlements. We're being tested. Someone wants to see how we respond. Or they're looking for something," Daeho said. "Looking for more dragons? Are there more?" Giwon asked. Daeho looked at Hanyul. Through their bond, he asked the question silently. She answered the same way. "Yes," he said aloud. "There are more eggs. Hidden across the galaxy, and if someone is attacking colonies, they might be attacking those locations too. Then we need to find them first," Admiral Choi said. He had overheard the conversation, before our enemies do. "Can your dragon locate these eggs?" Hanyul lifted her head despite her exhaustion. "I can sense them. My kind maintained a connection across the stars. Quantum entanglement in our biology. I know where my siblings sleep." "How many?" the Admiral asked. Hanyul said. 5 more eggs scattered across known space, and we need to reach them," Admiral Choi said. "Wake them before the enemy finds them. 5 more dragons fighting on our side could turn this war." "It's not that simple," Daeho said. "Dragons don't just fight for anyone. They need guardians. People worthy of the bond. And that process cannot be forced." "Then we find worthy people," the Admiral said firmly. "We're humans. Finding impossible solutions is what we do best." 2 weeks passed. Hanyul recovered slowly, her wounds healing under the care of both human doctors and her own natural abilities. The colony treated her like a hero. Children brought her gifts. Adults thanked her. She had proven herself through action, and humans respected that. During her recovery, Daeho worked with Admiral Choi and his staff. They planned the mission to locate the 5 remaining dragon eggs. It would be dangerous. The enemy was actively hunting for them too. Every day brought new reports of attacks on remote systems. The enemy called themselves the Dominion Pact. It was an alliance of several aggressive species who, feared the return of dragons. They remembered the old stories. They knew what dragons could do, and they wanted to make sure dragons stayed extinct. Admiral Choi assigned Daeho a ship. The Defiant Star was a fast courier vessel, designed for speed rather than combat. Its crew was small but skilled. Giwan volunteered as pilot. Minho, the young crew member from the Songbird, joined as security specialist. 2 others completed the team: Yoonji, a brilliant engineer who could fix anything, and Hyun, a medic with steady hands and a calm personality. 5 eggs. 5 locations, Admiral Choi said during their final briefing. Haniel will guide you to each one. Your mission is to protect the eggs until they hatch and convince the dragons to join our cause. Simple in concept, nearly impossible in execution. Daeho asked. Each dragon needs someone to bond with. I can't be guardian to all of them. We're working on that, the Admiral said. I'm sending requests to other colonies. Looking for volunteers who fit the profile, people with courage, integrity, and the willingness to sacrifice for others. People like you. Daeho felt uncomfortable with the praise. I'm not special. I just did what felt right. Exactly, Admiral Choi said. That's what makes you special. The Defiant Star launched 3 days later. Hanyul rode in the cargo bay, which had been modified for her comfort. Through their bond, Daeho could feel her excitement. She was finally going to find her siblings. The first egg was located on a frozen moon called Frost Harbor. It orbited a gas giant in a system that had once been home to a mining colony. The colony was abandoned now, destroyed in the first wave of Dominion attacks. Perfect place to hide something, Giwan said as they approached. Middle of nowhere, nothing valuable, no reason for anyone to look here, except the egg, Yoonji said. She was monitoring sensors. I'm picking up energy readings from the surface. Something is definitely down there. They landed near a mountain range. The temperature outside was negative 100 degrees. The wind howled with enough force to knock over a person. Everything was ice and rock and frozen darkness. Hanyul led them to a cave system deep inside the largest mountain. Her senses pulled her forward like a compass pointing home. In a chamber far underground, they found the second egg. This one was different from Hanyul's. It was larger and colored deep red, like fire frozen in crystal. Heat radiated from it, keeping the chamber warm despite the frozen world outside.
Ali, Hanyul.
Hanyul said softly. The burning wing. He was a warrior in the old times. Fierce and proud. Can you wake him? Daeho asked. Yes, but it will weaken me temporarily. And we should have a guardian ready. Taiyang will not accept help easily. He must respect the one who guards him. They set up a defensive perimeter while Hanyul prepared to wake her brother. Minho positioned himself near the entrance with weapons ready. Yoonji rigged sensors to warn them of approaching ships. Hyunwoo prepared medical supplies for anything that might go wrong. Hyunwoo placed her claws on the red egg and channeled energy into it. The egg began to glow brighter. Cracks appeared in the shell. The process took hours, with Hanyul growing visibly tired as she worked. Finally, the egg shattered. Taeyang emerged in a burst of flame. He was massive, even larger than Hanyul. His scales were crimson and black, and 6 horns crowned his head. His eyes blazed with inner fire as he looked around the chamber. Those eyes settled on Daeho and the others. Who dares wake me? His telepathic voice was deeper than Hanyul's, rougher. How do, Hanyul said. Your sister. The galaxy needs us again, brother. Taeyang looked at her, then at the humans. You bonded with them? With these fragile creatures? This fragile creature protected my egg against armed soldiers, Hanyul said firmly. He nearly died defending me. Show respect. Actions, not words, Taeyang said. If he is worthy, let him prove it. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared. Yoonji's voice came through their communications. We have incoming ships. 3 vessels. Dominion signatures. They found us. Taeyang smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Excellent. A test. The dragon launched himself through the cave system. melting ice with his passage. The others followed as quickly as they could. By the time they reached the surface, Taiyang was already in the sky, facing 3 enemy warships. The ships opened fire. Taiyang dove through the weapon's fire like he was dancing. His movements were pure instinct, trained by genetic memory from generations of warrior dragons. He breathed fire hotter than stars, melting through ship hulls. His claws tore through armor, but he was newly hatched and inexperienced with his powers. One ship got a clear shot, hitting him with a heavy plasma cannon. Taiyang roared in pain and fell from the sky, crashing into the ice. The ship moved in for the kill, charging weapons for a final shot. Daeho did not think. He ran across the frozen ground toward Taiyang. The dragon was wounded, struggling to rise. The ship above was seconds from firing. "Get down!" Daeho shouted at Taiyang. He raised his plasma rifle, a weapon designed to hurt infantry, not warships. It was useless. But he fired anyway, putting himself between the dragon and the enemy. The ship's pilot laughed over the radio. "Foolish human. Die with your monster." The ship fired. Juan, still in the Defiant Star, flew directly into the weapon's path. The bolt hit the courier ship's shields instead of Daeho. The shields held for 2 seconds before collapsing. But it was enough time for Hanyel to arrive. She crashed into the enemy ship with the full force of her body. Metal crumpled. The ship spun out of control and smashed into the ice. Twain watched all of this from the ground. Watched Daeho risk his life. Watched the humans work together to save him. When Daeho approached and offered a hand to help him up, the great dragon stared at that small human hand for a long moment. Then he took it. "You are insane," Taiyang said. I've been told that before," Daeho replied. "I like you," Taiyang decided, "but I will not bond with you. You already have a dragon. I will wait for my own guardian." "Fair enough," Daeho said. "Will you help us wake the others?" Taiyang looked at his sister, then at the sky where 2 enemy ships still circled. "Yes. But first, let me finish this fight properly." What followed was a massacre. Taiyang, angry and focused, destroyed both remaining ships in minutes. He was hurt and newly born, but his fury was enough. When the battle ended, he landed beside Daeho, breathing hard. "Your species is weak in body," Taiyang said, "but strong in spirit. I see why Hanyel chose you. Where do we go next?" Over the following weeks, they repeated this pattern across the galaxy. Each egg brought a new challenge, a new dragon with a unique personality. On a desert world, they found Sora, the Silvermind. She was a dragon who specialized in telepathy and strategy. She was calm and thoughtful, bonding quickly with Yunji when the engineer solved a complex puzzle to reach her egg. In an asteroid field, they discovered Kyung-ho, the Stormcaller. He commanded electromagnetic forces and loved challenges. He bonded with Minho after the soldier held off enemy borders single-handedly, refusing to retreat even when wounded. On a jungle planet, they located Myong, the Void Dancer. She could manipulate dimensions and stealth. She chose Giwan as her guardian after the pilot performed an impossible maneuver to escape an ambush, saving everyone aboard. The last egg was on an ice world in enemy territory. Reaching it required sneaking past Dominion patrols and fighting through ground forces. They found Dabin, the shield-bearer, in a fortress of ice. He was a defensive specialist with impenetrable scales. He bonded with Hyun Woo after the medic refused to leave wounded civilians behind during their escape, protecting them with nothing but his body and determination. 5 dragons awakened. 5 guardians chosen, each bond formed through action and sacrifice. Just as the ancient ways demanded, but waking the dragons had attracted attention. The Dominion Pact knew what was happening. They were gathering their forces for a massive assault. Intelligence reports showed over 200 enemy ships heading toward New Busan. The war was about to truly begin. The defense fleet gathered above New Busan, 80 human ships against 200 Dominion vessels. The numbers were terrible. Even with the dragons, victory seemed impossible in the war room of the orbital defense station. Admiral Choi stood before a holographic display. Around him were his commanders, the Dragon Guardians, and the dragons themselves. Some of the dragons had shrunk to fit in the room, Others participated telepathically from the hangar bays. "I'll be here in 6 hours," Admiral Choi said. Intelligence confirms their flagship is the Extinction Hammer, commanded by Overlord Vekris. He orchestrated the dragon genocide thousands of years ago. He's been alive all this time, kept immortal by technology, and he wants to finish what he started. "Let him come," Taiyang growled. "We will show him that dragons do not die so easily." "Courage is good," Admiral Choi said, "but we need strategy. They outnumber us badly." "How do we fight this?" Sora, the Silvermind, spoke up. Her voice was gentle but confident. "We do not fight as separate forces. Humans in ships, dragons in space. We fight together, coordinated. Dragons paired with human squadrons, working as one force. Dragons have never fought alongside other species like this," Henule added. "But these are new times. We must adapt." The plan came together over the next hours. Each dragon would lead a battle group of human ships. They would use their strengths in combination: dragon power and human tactics, dragon durability and human weapons. Together, they would be more than the sum of their parts. Daeho was assigned to a strike team with one mission: board the Extinction Hammer and kill. Overlord Vekris? Cut off the head, and the body might fall. "Suicide," Giwan said bluntly when she heard the plan. "Probably," Daeho agreed. "But if we don't try, everyone dies. At least this way, we're doing something." The strike team consisted of Daeho, Giwan, Minho, and 20 Marines. Hanyul would get them inside. After that, they were on their own. The Dominion fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 200 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel and formed up an attack formation. The flagship dominated the center, a massive dreadnought bristling with weapons. Admiral Choi opened communications on all frequencies. "Dominion fleet, this is Admiral Taiyang Choi of the Human Colonial Defense Force. Turn back now. You are not welcome here," Overlord Vekris responded. His face appeared on every screen. He looked almost human, but his eyes were too old, too cold. "Admiral Choi, we have no quarrel with humanity. Surrender the dragons, and we will leave your colonies intact." "The dragons are under our protection," Admiral Choi replied. "And they're not things to be surrendered. They're people. Our allies." Vekris laughed. It was a sound without humor. "Allies, they are weapons. Dangerous, uncontrollable weapons. We eliminated them before, and we will do so again. This is your final warning." "Then we have nothing more to discuss," Admiral Choi said. He closed the channel and turned to his fleet. "All ships, battle stations, show them what humans do when we fight for our friends." The battle began. The Dominion fleet opened fire first. Hundreds of energy beams crossed space. Human ships scattered, using evasive maneuvers. Return fire lit up the dark. Ships on both sides took hits. Shields flared and failed. Hulls breached. People died. Then the dragons entered the battle. Hanyul led the center formation, coordinating through telepathy with Sora. Their combined mental powers allowed perfect communication across the entire human fleet. No delays, no confusion. Every ship knew where to be and when. Taiyang led the assault wing. He dove straight into the enemy formation, breathing fire that melted through ships. Human destroyers followed in his wake, firing on targets he disabled. The enemy tried to focus fire on him, but he was too fast, too aggressive. Kung Ho created electromagnetic storms that disabled entire groups of enemy ships. Human corvettes swept in to finish them. It was brutal and efficient. Mi Young used her dimensional powers to teleport boarding teams directly onto enemy vessels. The surprised crews never knew what hit them. Ships surrendered or were destroyed from within. Dabin protected damaged human vessels, putting himself between them and enemy fire. His shields were incredible. Weapons that could destroy cities barely scratched him. Behind his protection, human engineers performed emergency repairs and got ships back into the fight. But the enemy adapted. They focused their fire, targeting dragons with overwhelming force. Taiyang was hit badly, One wing shredded, he fell back, bleeding. Kyung-ho took a direct hit to his side. The wound was deep. The human ships moved to protect their dragon partners. They put themselves in harm's way, taking hits meant for the dragons. 23 ships were destroyed protecting their allies. Thousands of humans died so the dragons could keep fighting. Through it all, Daeho's strike team moved toward their target. Hanyul, despite her own wounds, carried them through the chaos. Energy bolts screamed past. Explosions lit the darkness. But she did not stop. She reached the extinction hammer and burned through its hull with plasma breath, creating an entrance. The strike team dropped inside. Hanyul could not follow. The corridors were too small. She would fight outside, keeping enemy reinforcements away. "Be careful, my guardian," she said through their bond. "Always am," Daeho lied. The team fought through the ship. Enemy soldiers met them at every turn. Minho led the Marines, clearing corridors with precision and violence. Guan watched their backs, her reflexes keeping them alive. Daeho focused on navigation. Following the ship's layout toward the command center, they lost 5 Marines in the first corridor. 3 more at the second checkpoint. The closer they got to Vecrus, the harder the resistance became. Finally, they reached the command center doors. Only 8 of them remained. Minho placed explosive charges. The doors blew inward. They rushed inside. Overlord Vecrus stood in the center of the room, surrounded by guards. He looked at them without fear. "You made it farther than I expected." "Brave, foolish, but brave." "It's over," Daeho said. "Your fleet is losing. Surrender. Losing." Vecrus smiled. "Look at your sensors, human." Daeho glanced at a nearby display. His heart sank. Outside, the battle was not going well. The dragons were exhausted, wounded. Human ships were falling back. The Dominion had numbers, and they were using them. "Dragons are powerful," Vecrus said. "But power alone does not win wars. We have fought longer, prepared better. You will lose. The dragons will die. And this time, they will stay dead." "No," Daeho said. "You're wrong about one thing. We're not fighting because we think we'll win. We're fighting because it's right. Because those dragons chose to protect us. Because they're our friends. And humans don't abandon their friends." Sentiment. How touching. How useless. The guards opened fire. Marines fell. Minho went down, wounded but alive. Guan took a hit to the shoulder. Daeho felt pain explode in his leg. He hit the ground. Through his bond with Hanyul, he felt her fear for him, felt her rage, and he felt something else. All the other dragons, sensing their guardians in danger, felt it too. Outside the ship, something changed. The dragons stopped fighting defensively. They stopped holding back. 6 dragons bonded to worthy humans, united in purpose. They attacked with everything they had. Taiyang, despite his wounds, tore through 3 ships in as many seconds. Kyung-ho created a storm so powerful it disabled 20 vessels. Sora coordinated an attack run so perfect that 10 enemy ships were destroyed before they could react. Myong teleported bombs directly onto enemy bridges. Dabin absorbed fire meant for the damaged human flagship, saving Admiral Choi and 3,000 crew, and Hanyul, feeling Daeho's pain, crashed through the extinction hammer's hull like a meteor. She carved through the ship, heading straight for the command center. Nothing stopped her. Not walls. Not soldiers. Not weapons. She burst into the command center in a shower of metal and fury. Vecrus stared at her in shock. "Impossible. You cannot fit in here." "I am a dragon," Hanyul said. "We do not accept limitations." Her plasma breath filled the room. Vecrus screamed. His guards died. Only the strike team survived, protected by Hanyul's careful control of her fire. When the flames cleared, Vecrus was still alive, his technology keeping him from burning. But he was defeated, broken. "It's over," Daeho said again. This time Vecrus knew he was right. His fleet, seeing their leader captured, broke formation. Ships fled. The battle was won, but the cost was heavy. 23 human ships destroyed. Thousands dead. Every dragon wounded. Yet they had survived. They had won. Months later, Deho stood on Valdres Prime again, looking at the restored cavern where he had first found Haniel's egg. A memorial had been built here, honoring those who died in the battle. Haniel landed beside him, fully healed now. Other dragons had been found and awakened. The alliance grew stronger every day. Do you regret it? She asked. That first day when you chose to stay? Deho smiled. Not for a second. You know what I learned? Humans aren't the strongest species. We're not the smartest. But when we decide something matters, we don't give up. We protect what we choose to protect. That is why we bonded with humans, Haniel said. You understand what it means to be guardians. Together, human and dragon, they watched the stars. A new age had begun, and they had built it together, one brave choice at a time.